functions on top of Spark. So that's the pending item. And before I proceed further, I mean, there is one pending item from my end, and right, the tar image that I have to upload. Problem is, I have already a tar existing in my drive, which I've just deleted actually. Yeah, this is the one that I've just deleted. The problem is that doesn't have all the latest tar. I mean, I just have trying to upload a new one, which has all the data sets that we are referring to. So that's the reason why I'm taking time to upload the tar of the working directory. Once that is done, I will provide you the screen prints and I will let you know how to do it. Or I can show it right away. I mean, once I send you the tar image, the tar ball that I'm just trying to do, what you're supposed to do is you just take it to your desktop or something, right? Something like this. You download it, I mean, from your Google Drive. Once you download it, it's a matter of getting it into your desktop, right? I mean, from desktop you have to get into your home part, which should be your home Cloudera or home training or whatever it is. Just go to desktop and then working directory.tar. This is the one, right? So just move it to your home Cloudera. So once you move it to your home Cloudera, you will find this working directory. So what you're supposed to do is tar-xvf. Just use this command tar-xvf. It will generate all the, it will create a new working directory under your home path, and it will have all the directories that we are looking at, all the input files, all the data sets, everything it will be having. So it's a matter of just taking the tarball and taking that into your desktop and doing a command called tar-xvf. Okay, that should work. I mean, once it is uploaded, right? Okay, there is some problem. Oh, the problem is I've moved it from my desktop, right? It doesn't have the source. Sorry. So close to 1 GB. So let it get uploaded meanwhile. So you are clear, right? What you are supposed to do once I give the tarball. Let that get uploaded, and I will be sending you the tarball. That's one thing. And I could see certain questions from LT. Okay, I'll just come from the top. Flat map, will it store char by char, map store by words? So I'll tell you what's the difference. I mean, I've already keep on telling the difference between map and flat map. The only difference is how they process or how they apply the logic on top of the data, not the kind of storage they do. Flat map applies the logic on the whole data set and flattens the output, whereas map applies the logic or your transformation record by record and then gives the output as record by record. If you want your entire output to be flattened, then you would use flat map. If you want your output record by record, then you can go with map. That's the basic difference. Okay. And then Packet looks very powerful. Of course, indeed, it is a very powerful file storage running in memory. Is there a file size limit since it is registering and running in memory? I would say there is no file limit for Packet. I mean, just like, see, for processing, you would need memory, right? I mean, so Packet will not have any limit as such. You can create it as 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte or 10 terabyte, whatever be the file size, it can have it. But the processing component, maybe if you are processing that particular Packet file using Impala or something, Impala should have sufficient in memory. Or if you are processing that packet using Spark or something, Spark should have, Spark entails into disk, right? I mean, if it's sufficient in memory is not there, it processes it on top of this. So Spark wise, there is no problem. When you're talking about Impala and processing packet, Impala should have sufficient in memory, right? I mean, there is no certain limit that I have to have only packet of this size. I hope you got that in. And how to decide Parquet or JSON? It's again simple. I've told you already. When when I have a very lengthy file format, I have 250 columns or 300 columns or 100 columns or whatever it is, and my queries will be acting only on ad hoc columns. Like maybe out of 100 columns, I would be selecting only one or two columns or three or four columns. That's when I will go with Parquet. But see, that's only not the criteria. Now, majority of the people are going with Parquet because the processing benefit that you get out of Parquet is very, very high than your normal file format, just like JSON or a text file or whatever it is. So usually people are preferring to go with Parquet nowadays rather than going with any other file format. Right? Again, that's something very popular right now. Parquet. Results from Spark show when results show with log by second is because of UI. How does it work in real time? Spark works that way. I mean, the log mechanism used like whenever a container or an executor is executing, immediately their log will be given. It's not because of UI or something. It's because of the Spark logging mechanism. Even in real time, you would see the same. There will be a lot of logs generated out of Spark. If you want to redirect, or it can be on command line also. Right, LD, I hope I've answered all your queries. Are there any other queries, guys? I mean, on top of Spark that you've discussed so far? Anyone else? Because it's time that you have to work on Spark case studies now. So I would like to talk about Splunk. Splunk is another, data processing algorithm, just like a Spark, which Splunk and Strong would be used for this particular. Splunk is used for web services, I guess. Though I've not worked on it. Probably I'll give you some update on this in next session. Right? What I believe is it's something like a REST API kind of thing. But the usage of Splunk in the real-time world is very new. Okay, I'll anyways shed some more light on it in tomorrow's session. I think it will take some time to get that things uploaded. Let it take its own time. I'll give you certain case studies now. Certainly, I should forward you the tar image probably by end of today's session once it gets uploaded, right? So, assuming that you put your tarball inside your CDH file, I'm giving these case studies, right? And I'll start with dollar. Yeah, I'll start with Uber datasets. One has to understand that Uber does all the analytics. I mean, Uber app itself works with the background as Spark. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of it. Uber works with the particular entire processing with Parquet file format and on top of Spark. And initially, they will have all their transactions being loaded into MySQL, and the MySQL data will be uploaded into Hadoop HDFS. But in the format, they call it as a paricon. Paricon means Parquet conversion. There is no specific file format called paricon. Paricon is nothing but Parquet conversion. like they would be converting the MySQL data, I mean whatever plain text format into Parquet. That's why they call it as a Parquet conversion, and then they do all the processing and all the analytics of Uber data on top of Spark only. Okay. So, and they use some for some referring purpose, right? They would be using HBase as well. You'll understand why are they using HBase after we cover HBase part, right? So that's an update. Now, given the background to you, I would like to give certain case studies on top of market. Okay, look at this. This is a dispatching base number and date, active vehicles, and trips. Basically, Uber will have a base. Basically, I mean, it's a base code they are maintaining on a particular date. For this particular base code, there are 190 active vehicles, and there are 1132 trips happened starting with the base location as this. And this is a repetitive thing, I believe. B02512, right? Here, this base is repetitive because every day there could be a lot of other things happening. I mean, from here, B02512 for the same date, I don't have it, but for different dates, I'm having the active vehicles and the trips. Similarly, the same holds good for other bases as well. Maybe this, let's say New York, uh, certain place in New York. On this particular date, that particular place has 190 vehicles, active vehicles from that particular base location, and there are 1132 trips that have happened in that location. Okay, that is fine. Now, okay. So this being the data, what you are supposed to find is for a particular date, for a particular date, what is the base which has highest number of trips. You have to do all these things on top of Spark. If you are, I mean, you can do one thing while loading the data into Spark. Maybe you will load it as a text file, and you would load it as you would split it based on comma. And then you would have your columns mapped into different column names, whatever you want, just like what we have done in our previous example. And then what you can do is you can find out this particular, or just wondering if I would if I ask you to upload this into MySQL or something, and then MySQL or Hive, and then if I give that particular data frames example to you, that would be more appropriate. I'm just wondering what this would be. Okay, that's fine. First, you will get at least the sense of transformation, right? How to apply transformation. So you have to do this simple thing. For a particular date, what is the base which has highest number of trips? So you can segregate these into columns and apply your transformations on top of Spark. And then another question is, what is the base with highest number of active vehicles for maximum number of days. This would be a little tricky. So maybe my base like 2764 is having active number of active number of vehicles for let's say 6 days or 7 days. Right? Others are having only for 4 days, or some others are having for 3 days, or some others are having for 2 days. So I want this particular name to be populated. B02764 is the base which is having highest number of vehicles for maximum number of days. Okay, you have to group it based on the occurrences and the active number of vehicles. First of all, probably this might be little very tricky. I'll do it this way. What is the base having highest number of active vehicles? Okay, for every day. So this is another question. For a particular date, what is the base which has highest number of dates? And that means every day you will have the trips being listed. Similarly, I want you to list the active number of vehicles for every base. Okay, is this clear? I think both are not that difficult. First thing is for every date you have to, for every date you have to group by base, and you have to get the base which has highest number of trips. And second thing is again same thing on group by date and get the highest number of active vehicles, which the base name which has highest number of active vehicles. Okay, now almost both the questions are similar. Only thing is you're finding different things. Okay. Hope that is clear to everyone. Any questions? I'll take it up on the case study. So VNP, Tejasri, Mukul, Mukesh, Syed, LT, Lakan, Hemant, Dhruv, and Binoy. All are clear? Yes, Syed. Go ahead.
Will be a data set given to us? Or?
Of course. I'll be giving that tar ball, right? From there you can do this. Once you untar it, you will have it in the dollar input path. That means working directory / input files. You will have Uber dataset.cs.
And I should untar it in the virtual machine itself.
Yeah, you can probably untar it in your virtual machine itself. Since it is not getting uploaded, but I'll somehow upload it and send it across to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So rest all are clear. If you are done with this, I would like to give another case study on top of Spark. Probably I'll give that in tomorrow's session. Again, another maybe more insights from this particular Uber data set, or I'll ask you to work on different kinds of joins available in Spark. So somehow I'll keep you busy with Spark for next 3 days, next 2 to 3 days. Right? I want you to get complete hands-on Spark before we wind up the course. Yes, Hammond, go ahead.
Yeah, for the second case study that you just mentioned, so for that particular day, we have to find out the base which has the highest number of active vehicles.
Correct. Highest number of active vehicles, and what is the count? The base name, base name, and the count of the active vehicles.
So the output would be like for this particular day, the base, the name, and the number of.
Correct.
Correct. Thank you.
No problem. Cool. So I hope everyone is clear, but at least I would seriously looking forward to see some answers from each one of you on this particular case studies on Spark. Right, I will be continuously following up on Spark case studies for sure. I've designed a few other. I've collected different data sets basically, so I've not designed the case studies as such. I'll open the data sets and I'll give you different case studies on daily basis, at least on top of Spark. Okay? So that you will feel interested and you will be working hands-on Spark. So yeah, go ahead, LP. Your voice is not audible.
Sure, sir. Is it okay?
Yeah, now it is fine. Please.
It shows the command not found that PySpark. Can you just tell me which folder? Yes, I'm not getting your path. Yeah.
Where did you do it? CDH3?
Yeah, CDH3. Yeah, I think you said CDH3 doesn't have, right?
Absolutely. Because Spark doesn't work with your Hadoop 1.4, right? You have to go to CDH5 and then do Spark. Because Spark needs Hadoop 2.1.
Okay. So I think I have only 4 GB memory for the CD. Okay.
I was telling the same thing to everyone. I mean, you can. I'll tell you one more thing. If you have a particular pen drive, right? Pen drive of 10 GB or something, which is totally free. Connect that to your desktop. If you are using Windows laptop, right? You connect that to desktop, and you can go to file system properties, and you can use the pen drive thing as your RAM. I mean, at least for temporary purpose. Let me see the options and send it across, but that is not recommended. I would seriously recommend everyone to go and upgrade to 8 GB RAM or something, at least minimum of 8 GB, to start practicing on top of CDP.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'll take care. Yeah.
I hope rest all are clear, right? So Smart, we will be continuously working on case studies. For now, I would like to start discussing on top of HBase. So the pending items would be, one is HBase, which will be starting today. Another thing is Kafka and Flume. I will take Kafka and Flume together, and the pending apart from Kafka and Flume would be T, right? So I hope every one of you are going through the questions. What I want is from you, I'm not going to give any answers for your interview questions. At the end of every echo component, you are supposed to go to the interview questions, and if you are able to answer all the interview questions or not, you're supposed to look at that. So that's your job. If you are not able to answer any of the interview questions, you have to tell me, or you have to ask me what's the answer that we have to give for a particular interview question, right? But I'm not going to run through all the interview questions, because it's your responsibility to go and see whether you are able to answer any particular interview question over there or not. If you are not able to answer, you are supposed to ask me and get that clarified, right? Uh, yeah, and at least, I mean, this week, right? I'm not available for 3 days. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, right? And we are going to have only 3 sessions this week. And next week, when I come back on your Sunday evening, I'll have a session on Sunday evening, and your Monday and Tuesday. Mostly, your Tuesday should be the last session next week. Yeah, that's what. Next week, your Tuesday or Wednesday should be the actual end of the course. And after that, right, I would like to give you 1 week time, and I would like to take one briefing session for you, like what all. I mean, once you practice echo components and everything, why 1 week is, I'll give you some time to practice all the echo components, and I would like to get that after 1 week after the course, to just give you kind of briefing on what should be your future roadmap, and what certifications you can take, or all these are generic things I would like to discuss. And I'll also give you some things to work on, what you're supposed to work on when you have some free time, at least on top of Hadoop and its ecosystem. That would be the thing that I'll take after 1 week of our course. Sure, Mukesh. I can send some sample resumes as well. Can you just drop me an email, Mukesh? So starting with Apache HBase. Again, HBase is a NoSQL database Facebook. So HBase is primarily designed by Facebook and which is coined as NoSQL, no SQL. So you have two varieties of NoSQLs available. One variety I would segregate it as HBase and Cassandra. Another segregation is MongoDB. Okay, so what I say is there is certain use case for HBase and Cassandra. There are certain use cases for MongoDB, which you will understand going forward. But what is this NoSQL? NoSQL means when it when it when I have to talk about HBase, there is no SQL inside it. There is no traditional SQL queries that you write on top of it, like select star from a table, select count of star, or whatever SQL queries that we usually write. We don't. We will not be able to write that on top of it. It has its own scan commands, put commands, get commands, kind of its own certain commands that are available, which we will be using on top of it. That's why it is being referred as NoSQL. And the way HBase stores, the way HBase processes data is totally different than how you would see it in any regular RDBMS. Okay? So HBase does the processing in a different way, and HBase doesn't run on top of MapReduce. So HBase is not a MapReduce component. So it has its own master-slave architecture. So it doesn't depend on YARN also. It has its own master-slave architecture. And at the end of the day, HBase stores the data on top of HDFS only. Right? It has to store the data only on HDFS. Any echo component that you are working on top of it has to store the data on top of HDFS. And HBase is also storing the data on HDFS, but it doesn't use MapReduce or YARN. It has its own master-slave architecture. Okay, so that's the overview of HBase. But when you are not able to run some traditional SQL queries, right? What is the use of HBase? The use of HBase is also totally different. You cannot use HBase for some complex joins or joining two data sets and coming up with a plan based on your joins. Complex query is never possible on top of HBase because the data modeling itself is totally different on top of HBase. See, I'll just ask you a question. I give you an RDBMS table. I wanted to create some data RDBMS table. Let's say I wanted to create some table on top of MySQL. How does your data modeling work? When I say that, how does data modeling work means, do you create first table and think about your queries, or do you think about queries and create the table? Which one do you do on top of RDBMS? Can you answer me? When it comes to data modeling of RDBMS, do you first create tables and then discuss about the queries that you run on top of RDBMS, or do you discuss about queries that you would be running and then create a table? Which one do you do in RDBMS? Anyone can raise your hand. What do you think? Table first and then the queries. Absolutely. Not the queries first. It would be table first and then we talk about the queries. Right? So that's the standard logic in any RDBMS. Data modeling first starts with the table creation and then the queries on top of the table. But whereas with respect to HBase, you do it other way around. You design the queries first and then the tables. You can ask me how. It's as simple as that. We will first design, hey, I have a requirement. I'm planning to have some kind of data which I need to query. The queries would be I'm planning to query the particular customer and transaction related data or customer demographic related data. So it all depends upon my queries first of all. I'm gonna first analyze what kind of queries that I'm going to run on top of HBase. And then I'm going to target table creation on top of HBase. Okay, so it's kind of totally reverse thing. I decide my queries first and then my table. And again, another question for you guys. In RDBMS, which would you prefer? Narrow tables or a broader table? As for the normalization techniques, which one do you prefer? A table which is narrow or a table which is broad? You can ping me the answers. Again, yes. The narrow tables are yeah. So you're able to hear me right now, right? I don't think there is some. Okay. I will have to do other way around. There is some problem, not with my internet. I think it is problem with GoToWebinar, I guess. So, anyways, you are able to hear me now, right? Okay. Yeah. So coming back to the discussion. So, which one do we prefer, narrow or broader tables? Obviously, it is narrow tables that we are going to prefer on top of our tables. And if you want a whole set of data, what you do is you join the data. You join the tables and get your whole data. But in HBase, you look at broader tables because I told you cannot do some complex joins on top of HBase. So when you cannot do complex joins on top of HBase, it's good to have all the data in a single table, right? So that I need not join. I need not join table. But you can ask me, hey, when you have a very broader table, so the kind of the schema of your table looks complex. So let it look complex. That's fine. HBase will be able to handle it. Right? So in HBase, the data modeling starts with your query design first and then the table design next. And then with respect to HBase, again, what you do is you talk about the broader tables than the narrow tables because you're not able to join certain tables in HBase. So obviously you'll go with broader tables. And again, when you create a table in RDBMS, it's just a table. But with respect to, it's a table, it has the columns, it has the rows, so everything lies within a table. As a table, it matters a lot. But with respect to HBase, table is just a table. On top of table, you will have columns, just like any RDBMS table. But these columns are grouped together to something called column family. Right? The columns inside HBase table are grouped together, and the group columns are called column family. But how do I group columns? What is the basis for it? Should I look at some criteria and group the column? Maybe, again, see, how I decide how to group columns depends upon what you are trying to query. Maybe I will always query my demographics of my customer, where the customer lives, what's his mail ID, what is his mobile number, and what is his date of birth. All these demographic details are something that I'm looking at. When I'm looking at the demographic details of the customer, right? When I'm looking at the demographic details of the customer, that means I would like to group all the demographic details together to a demographic column family. And when I'm trying to select for a particular customer what is the total transaction amount that he has done for a particular day, or what all transactions he has done, so kind of transaction related data I'm looking at, I would group all the transactional columns to a column family called transaction or something. So based on my queries, I would group my columns. But you can ask me a question. Hey, I wanted to query one column from my demographics, one column from my transactions. But I've already grouped demographics together, transactions together. Will that be possible? Yes, it will be possible. But amount of time it might take will be fraction of seconds, little more than what it is doing right now. Okay, but you can query it. You can query one column from one column family and another column from another column family. That doesn't stop you. HBase doesn't refrain you from querying that. But still, you group the columns together based on how you query. Simple logic. If someone asks you, hey, how do you group your column families? Right? The only answer you would give is, it all depends upon how I query them. So people might ask you, hey, what is the point of grouping column families together when you are querying them together? It's simple, they are stored together. That means if I group my customer data to one column family called customer, sales data to another column family called sales, my customer column family will be stored in one location, sales column family will be stored in another location. What's the benefit? The retrieval time that my query would take will be very less when I'm having all the data that I need stored at a single place. So that's the benefit. So the reason behind grouping columns to column families in HBase is, when I have columns grouped together, right, and they are stored together. So when I retrieve them, I would retrieve it in a faster way. So that's the whole story behind HBase column families. Okay, and then there is another thing called row key in HBase. So what is that row key? Row key is a kind of primary key, but it's not a primary key, I would say. Okay, I'll tell you why I'm saying this, but still let's concentrate on row key. The row key is a unique identifier that identifies every row. For example, using row key, I can query my customer data like, let's say row key 101 belongs to John White, who lives in Los Angeles or in California. He has purchased shares for transactional amount of $400. So row key is the oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. Okay. Now you're able to see my screen, right? But anyways, I'm not showing much here. I'm just talking about the generic things. Okay, so if you look at this is a row key. Okay, so row key is the unique identifier that identifies your particular row. For example, look at 101 row key. It is representing John White, who belongs to Los Angeles, California, who has purchased shares for $400. Okay, so happens here is row key will be used to identify every row. But should it be unique? That's what your question would be. Because if 101 occurs once again, what happens? So to have that discussion, let me just give you some overview on versioning of HBase. There is a concept called versioning in HBase. So how does that work is something that I'm going to talk about now. Do I have matched in this Sylvia? So what happens here is 101 has John White or someone who belongs to California who has purchased Chase for $400. Okay, so this is one column family. This is another column family, right? That's what we've discussed so far. Now, what if 101 occurs once again? Because I told you it is an unique row key to identify entire row. It will be something like this. Yes, maybe he has bought another product called ABC for $500. Okay. Now, there is a concept called version in HBase. What happens if this kind of scenario happens in your RDBMS? What your RDBMS does is, it replaces the earlier record with this record. Because if I say this particular account number is a primary key, you cannot have duplicates. So earlier record will be replaced. That's what your RDBMS does. But HBase doesn't do the same thing. It does maintain something called versioning. So if I have only this record, this is version 1. If I have 2 records for the same row key, this will become version 2. This will become version 1. So whichever be the latest record for a particular row key, that will be your version 1. For example, I've got another record for 101 for the same guy. Maybe he has transferred to a different place called New York, and he has purchased again a CDE for $600 or so. Okay. Here, now the version will be version 1 will be this one. This will be version 2. The top one will be version 3. But how does it know which one is the latest record? That's why every HBase transaction will have something called timestamp. Timestamp is what here? Timestamp talks about when a particular record got created. So this particular record could have got created at 2016, 07, 20, some time frame, something like this, right? Similarly, this would have got created in 2016, 07, 21, something like this. This would have got created in 2016, 07, 25, something like this. So what it matters to me is which one is the latest record. That will be the version 1. And when you are querying any data related to 101, only the version 1 record will be represented or it will be displayed. Version 2, version 3 will be there unless and until you query for version 2 and version 3, it's not going to give you the output. But how long this version is going to happen? If I create another record, well, version 4 will be created. HBase by default maintains 3 versions. HBase by default maintains only 3 versions. So when I have got another record of this guy, maybe created at a different timestamp, 2016, 07, 26, something like this. Like this is there. Now this will become version 1. This will become version 2. This will become version 3. This is no longer version 4. It will be treated as obsolete record. Okay? Because I have only default 3 versions. If you don't increase it, it will be the obsolete record. So what happens is, there is a concept called compaction, which we'll be discussing after a little while, maybe in tomorrow's session. There are 2 kinds of compactions, like minor and major compaction. And major compaction is the one which deletes this record. You can ask me, hey, how is HBase doing the deletes of a row? Because we don't see row level updates or deletes on top of an HBase, right? So how is it possible in HBase? It is possible in HBase. I mean, it's not contradicting the architecture of HDFS. Rather, if I say every row is stored separately, this row is stored separately, this will be stored separately, then what's wrong? I mean, HBase can do it, right? Every row is stored separately, but how it's storing everything separately, I'll talk about that when I'm talking about HBase architecture. So when I'm storing everything separately, deleting this row is not a big deal for me. So just, I mean, when I'm storing this row separately, it's a matter of deleting a file. I mean, this is a file, right, when it is stored separately. So I'm deleting a file. So there is a concept called minor major compaction. Major compaction is the one which deletes this particular obsolete record. Hope this is clear to everyone. Right? Versions are similar to your updates. Yes, I do agree. But it's not physical update. It's a logical update. Okay? HBase does the logical updates of your data. And when you are querying, it only shows you the latest record because it knows what's the timestamp that the records are storing with. So it gives you the latest record. Right? And if you want to see how your account had performed, you can look at it for previous 2 versions as well. Totally 3 versions you will be able to see, including the current version. Okay? Anything older than your version will be treated as an obsolete record and it will be deleted during the compaction. And how that compaction works and how that deletes, you'll understand that going forward. But this is the concept of versioning in HBase. So HBase do allow updates, but they are not physical, rather they are logical. Hope this is clear to everyone. Any questions so far? What is this SCD group? Can you expand it? And Syed, yes, it is a kind of it's a kind of updating, but it is not like not a physical update. Rather, it's a logical update. Compaction is part of architecture. You need not write anything. I mean, I'm yet to talk about minor and major compaction. I'll talk about minor and major compaction down the lane. But what happens is there is a concept called compaction. Inside that, there are two levels of compaction, minor and major. Major is the one which deletes the obsolete record. How it works and how it deletes, we will discuss that going forward in detail. Good question. This is a very wonderful question. Does it run on top of disk or in memory from Latin? I would say it swings both the ways. It does certain things on, I mean, the storage will happen on HDFS only. Right? Ultimately, when it is storing the data in HDFS, it is on top of disk. But all the client reads and writes happens on top of in memory, which we call as memstore, which we will be discussing again when I talk about the architecture. But it swings both the ways. Yeah, slowly changing dimensions. SCDs means ETL process concept. No, not sure. I don't know if I can compare the ETL's SCD with versioning in HBase. Right? But versioning is a kind of update in RDBMS, whereas you see the physical updates in RDBMS, but here you see the logical updates. That's the primary difference. So that's why I've told this particular row key is a kind of primary key, but it's actually not a primary because it can have the duplicates, right? HBase does maintain versions. Is it clear so far, everyone, or any questions? And just like Spark, everything will be treated as a series of bytes. There is no data type that you need to declare for any of the column in HBase. Okay. Mukul, yeah, please.
Muted. Surya, what is the use of this column-oriented database, which is HBase?
Yeah, that will slowly understand. So far, I told you cannot do complex querying, you cannot do traditional querying on top of HBase, but still, why are we using it? There's something. I have to talk about the architecture first of all. It's little kind of complicated, so that's why I'm slowly taking you there to the architecture. Once I talk about the architecture, then understand the use case of HBase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you would have understood Hive will be used, where Scoop will be used, where Spark will be used, but HBase you'll need to understand the architecture first, then you need to discuss about the uses. Yeah, LT, go ahead.
Is the version is only 3 is limited or?
No, you can increase it. You can increase.
We can increase, correct? Yeah. This HBase is only sequential database, correct? Why we have to have these three versions, 5 versions, something like that?
See, if you are looking at updates, right? If you wanted to update your data, versioning has to be there. Because you cannot update this row, right? Because this got changed to this. Will I be able to do that in HDFS? No, right? HDFS doesn't allow you row level updates and deletes. So that's why it is maintaining these versions so that it not only allows you to do the physical update, I mean logical update, but also helps you to track back your records, how your record is performed.
So we can give any number of versions, whatever based on our requirements.
Basically, we will go with default versions only. I mean, we will never change that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Hammond, good. Hammond, you have any questions?
Yeah. So this table is an abstraction over the actual data that is being stored on the disk, right? On HDFS.
No, it's not like Hive. It actually,
that's the question.
It's not an abstraction. It's actually a record which is stored in a table. Okay, so it's not like Hive. It's not an abstraction. So it actually tweaks the data presence into the way that it wants, because it has to store it in the format of column families, right? Like I told, column families are stored together. So it has to do something with the data. So it will do it. It's not an abstraction.
So, but you said the data is still stored on HDFS only.
Of course, yeah. Data will be still stored on HDFS.
So the data that is being stored by this table, if we want to see just the data, like, can we go on to HDFS and just see the location?
That's the problem. I'm about to say that, right? See, HBase always takes the data in the series of bytes. Okay, you did not declare any data types here. So what's the point? Even if you go and look at there, it's gonna give you only the binary format of the data. Right?
Okay. Got it. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, guys. Probably let's come back tomorrow. I don't want to dump in too many details. I'll slowly take you to the HBase architecture, because HBase architecture is only difficult. When you talk about HBase or how you work on top of HBase, it's not so difficult. Okay. So let's come back tomorrow and discuss more on HBase architecture, right? So that's it for now. Thank you and bye-bye.